Let me tell you the story of someone who learned this the hard way. Let's call him David. David is a normal guy. A few months ago, he got into a dispute with the contractor over some unpaid bills. David thought the contractor did a terrible job, so he refused to pay the final $5,000. One day, David gets a knock on the door. A process server hands him a thick packet of papers. It's a summons. The contractor is suing him. David is furious. He thinks, I'm in the right. This guy's a scammer. I'm not playing this game. So, David throws the notice in his desk drawer. He goes to work. He watches Netflix. He lives his life. But here's the first major lesson of the legal system. Silence is not a defense. Silence is a forfeit. When a court sends you a notice, they are starting an invisible countdown clock. Usually it's 20 to 30 days to respond. By throwing that paper in the drawer, David didn't stop the clock. He just threw away on a Tuesday, an ordinary envelope, but it feels 10 pounds heavier than the rest of your mail. You know what it is. A court notice, a summons, a subpoena. But human nature is a funny thing. When faced with a problem that terrifies us, we often resort to the oldest defense mechanism in the book. If I don't look at it, maybe it doesn't exist. Welcome back. Today we're talking about the ostrich approach to the law, burying your head in the sand. Every day, thousands of people receive court notices for unpaid debts, property disputes, divorce filings, or even as witnesses to a crime, and a shocking number of them choose to do absolutely nothing. But what actually happens when you ignore a court notice? Does it go away? Does the system just forget about you? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. In fact, ignoring a court notice is the legal equivalent of ignoring a leak in your roof. It doesn't stop the rain. It just guarantees the ceiling is going to collapse on the day of your head. The contractor shows up. David does not. The judge looks at the empty chair. The judge doesn't say, well, David isn't here. I guess we'll cancel. Instead, the court issues what is called an ex parte order or a default judgment. A default judgment means the person who did show up automatically wins. Because David wasn't there to defend himself, the court accepts the contractor's story as the absolute truth. David just lost the case, but he doesn't even know it yet. 2 months later, David is buying groceries. His card is declined. He checks his banking app on his phone. His checking account, which had over $6,000 in it yesterday, now reads 0. David panics. He calls his bank, thinking he's been hacked. The bank teller says the words that make his blood run cold. Sir, your account hasn't been hacked. It's been frozen by a court order. This is the avalanche. When you ignore a civil court notice and get a default judgment against you, the winner gets the power of the state to collect their money. They don't have to ask you nicely anymore. They can garnish your wages, meaning they go straight to your boss and take a percentage of your paycheck before you even see it. They can levy your bank accounts. Like David, you wake up to frozen funds, and they can put a lien on your property. Try selling your house or refinancing when the court has chained a debt to your deed. David thought he was avoiding a headache. Instead, he handed the contractor the keys to his financial life, and reversing a default judgment. It is incredibly difficult, incredibly expensive, and sometimes legally impossible. Now, everything I just described applies to civil court, lawsuits between people or businesses. But what if the notice you ignored was from a criminal court? What if it was a subpoena to testify as a witness, or a summons for a major traffic violation or jury duty? If you ignore a criminal notice, the court doesn't just take your money, they take your freedom. Judges have incredibly low tolerance for being ignored. It undermines the very foundation of the justice system. When you fail to appear in a criminal or state matter, the judge will hold you in contempt of court. Contempt of court is a crime in itself. It means you have willfully disrespected the authority of the judge. The moment that happens, the judge issues a bench warrant for your arrest. Unlike a movie, the police usually won't launch a massive manhunt for you, but your name goes into a statewide and sometimes national database. Here's how it usually plays out. You're driving home from dinner 6 months later. You have a broken taillight. A police officer pulls you over. They take your license, run it through their computer, and boom. The system flashes red. You aren't going home. You are asked to step out of the car. You are handcuffed on the side of the road in front of passing traffic and taken to a holding cell, all because you didn't open an envelope and show up to explain yourself months ago. Even if you were completely innocent of the original charge, even if you were just called as a witness, the warrant is for ignoring the court. and that is entirely your fault. Let's rewind the tape. Let's go back to Tuesday. The envelope is in your hand. A court notice is not a prison sentence. It is not an admission of guilt. It is simply an invitation to a conversation. It is the system giving you your constitutional right to tell your side of the story. If you receive a notice, you need to do 3 things immediately. Step 1. Read the document. Look for the who, what, where, and when. Who is calling you? What is it regarding? What courtroom is it in? And what is the exact deadline? Step 2. Don't panic. People sue for ridiculous things all the time. Being summoned doesn't mean you're going to lose. It just means you have to play the game. Step 3. Call an expert. Contact a lawyer. Many offer free initial consultations. If you absolutely cannot afford a lawyer, call the clerk of the court listed on the notice. Court clerks cannot give you legal advice, but they can tell you exactly what forms you need to file to officially respond. The legal system is a massive, blind machine. It only knows what is put in front of it. If you don't show up to put your truth on the record, the machine will gladly process the lies of the person who did. Don't let someone else write the end of your story just because you were afraid to read the first page. Open the envelope, face the music, and take control of your life. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe so you never have to navigate life's toughest moments blindly. I'll see you in the next one.